So, well, Chris, okay, hello, Chris. Chris asks, hi, Magdi, the results of actions are up to the field of existence. Is that correct? It depends. What do you mean by the field of existence, Chris? So, let's say that our actions follow our thinking, Maya, and awareness. When you think of, for example, visiting your mom or visiting a friend, the thought arises to you. Yes, the thought arises to you, and you may follow, meaning you may act upon that thought, meaning you may make a phone call or set up an appointment or get in your car and go visit, or you may not. So our actions are follow the thoughts that arise to us. It's really that simple. Also, we often act not just as a result of the thoughts that arise to us, but also the energetic field that these thoughts produce. For example, the thought that, oh my goodness, I need to work hard in my life or else I will be a failure. Such a thought creates an internal psychology, and it resonates, it reverberates in our energetics, and it leads us to act to reduce this disturbance. It will lead us to do a variety of, maybe we would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and start working, or we may take 2 jobs on instead of 1. So we act as a result of thoughts that arise to us, and we act as a result of feelings that arise to us. Now, there is, in the case of the feelings, when there are thoughts that arise that pertain to a sense of threat, or there is something at risk, the action that we do is going to carry that virus, is going to have in it that that disturbance, and is not going to result into satisfaction or into peace or into happiness. It's going to just echo that disturbance that started at its source, at the feeling level. It's just going to carry through. And in our contemplation, we look at that process and we ask ourselves, is there another way to be, to live, to act, that does not carry with it the disturbance, that does not carry with it the sense of lack, that is not trying to fill a void, that is not trying to solve a problem, rather an action that is an expression of our creativity, of our freedom, of our beauty, of our love. You follow? So the best action is the action that arises out of the peace, out of the non-disturbed state of being. So the contemplation is, what is that peace that we seek? Where is it? Is it somewhere out there, outside of us, or is it within us? And how do we tap into it? How do we come to that peaceful source that does not have in it the sense of lack or the sense of imminent danger? Yeah, Chris, you ask, yes, how about the results of actions? As I was just saying, the results of our action depends on the source of our action, what inspires our action. If our action is inspired by fear or anxiety or a negative emotion, a sense of lack, or a certain need and desire, then the result of our action is going to perpetuate that, is going to reflect that sense of lack. There will be grasping, there will be holding, there will be arguing, there will be coveting, and there would be the negative emotions, jealousy, anger. So our action will have in it those negative emotions. On the other hand, if your action is arising, if your behavior is arising out of a sense of play and freedom and celebration and creativity, like to is coming out of your love, coming out of your freedom, it does not have in it a sense of lack. It does not have in it any sense of danger. And as a result, the action will be happy. It's like going to the fair. Yeah. So you'll be enjoying yourself, and it will not matter to you what is the action that you are going to be engaged in. For example, you may decide that you want to go to the opera, and you may find yourself going for a walk in the park, or you may find yourself knocking on a friend's door and having a cup of tea with them. It doesn't matter to you. It does not have to be going to the opera or else. It does not have to be going to the park or else. Your happiness does not depend on what action or what events you will be engaged in. Chris, you're right. I understand. In the Indian scriptures, there is the idea of offering one's actions. Offer yourself, not just your actions. Offer all of yourself. Offer the actor, and alongside the actor, the actions. When the actor is offered, is surrendered, is transparent, it's very peaceful. Because there are no personal positions. I am not invested in a certain outcome. I'm not invested in a certain direction in which I want things to go. Yes. Aha. Okay, what if I... Yeah. Okay.
When you're moving, there's a sound.
I removed it, so hopefully... Please let me know if there is a sound issue. I understand it.
No, it sounds good now. Without the headphones, it sounds fine. Could you hear me?
Okay, Chris. Yeah. So... Okay. Hello, Holly. Holly, you're writing just a small detail about the sound. Okay. Aha. Oh. Yes. Tara came in and told me. Okay. All right. Is it better now? It should be better now. Yes, I hope. Okay. So. Okay. Chris, you're right. Thank you. I understand. It's like living life without being a person. It's living life like being. It's being life. It's being / living life. It's living, loving, living life. I am life. I wouldn't emphasize without being a person. Just we're not a person anyways. So it's loving, living, but it's not loving what is being lived. It's not loving the relationship or loving the work or loving the... No, it's loving being. It's being is love. So it doesn't have to do with what is happening, because there may be some things that happen that are not so lovable. But it doesn't matter, because your happiness doesn't depend on what is happening. It's possible to be this transparent presence and not to be so invested in what is arising, what is happening, what's happening in your life, what's happening around you. And the amazing thing is that when you are just living the transparency of being, the life around you becomes sweet. Because life around you is just your very being expressing itself as that. And when you are in a relaxed way of being, meaning you're relaxing in your true nature, which is transparent presence, infinite, invisible presence, everything reverberates that. Your relationships, your work, your whatever we do in our waking dream will reflect that. Without exerting any effort. In the opposite, it's a releasing of the tendencies to effort. Hello, Ananda. So, Ananda, you're right. Awareness informs our life, our living. I can see that the unsettling charge in situations and circumstances is dissipated in the light of awareness. However, could we look at this story together? A lovely woman has been plagued with the problem of jealousy from her lover's partners throughout her lifetime. She wonders why she is drawn to such people. Then she meets a nice guy who doesn't seem to have any significant tendency to jealousy. As things unfold between them, she realizes Cupid's arrows are remaining in the quiver. I am not familiar with that. Cupid's arrows.
The arrows of Eros.
I'm not hearing you, Ananda.
Oh, interesting. Oh, no.
I'm going to continue reading.
Okay.
Maybe I'll hear you later, but I'm not hearing you. As things unfold between them, she realizes Cupid's arrows are remaining in the quiver. She's not at all attracted to him. I see. Okay. Something is missing. Oh, it's his lack of jealousy. He doesn't really care about me. It reminds me, oh my God, it reminds me. I'm going to share with you this this past remembrance. Years ago, should I? Well, okay, well, why not? I started. So years ago, I met this friend who I was with in a relationship, and she was completely undemanding. She had no demands from me. I would come and go whichever way I wanted, and if I was late, if I say, okay, I'm coming at 3, instead I come at 5, there was never any reprimand. And soon after, I told her, I don't think you love me. She said, what? I said, yes, because you don't have any demands from me. You're not. I come home late. You don't say anything. What sort of love is that? And she told me, which really was pretty memorable at the time for me, is that I am confusing love with control. And but that was my conditioning. That's how I was conditioned at the time. And of course, it was really nice to relate with her because I was able to see my conditioning and to become free of it to a certain extent. So in this case, I'm reminded of that. So through the computer, you thought she should try to control you.
No, no, my sound. Sound.
So what is your question about this? Oh, your sound is gone. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your question about? Let me see. A lovely one is married. However, could we look at the story together? Yes, we could look at it. So what is your question around that?
I sure wish you could hear me. Can you see me?
I'm wondering, let me see. Maybe I am. Hold on, Nanda. No, you're not muted. I don't understand. Okay. I just muted you now. But, Ananda, I'm wondering if you, if you leave the Hangout, you might not be able to come back. Okay. Yes, I see you, but I do not hear you. Okay, well, let me then just speak a little bit about what you wrote. So she was in relationships with people who were very jealous, and she wondered what that was about. And then she meets somebody who is not jealous, does not have jealousy, and yet she felt that she does not love him. And I think just what I shared with you, I think that what have you done? Put them back on?
No, pull out your.
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, you cannot hear me very well?
No, I'm.
Oh, okay. So I think it's just that there is a conditioning that we because of our past experience, we're associating love with somebody being jealous about us. And although we don't like the jealousy, this is what we are habituated to. This is what we associate. A loving person is a person who is jealous, or in my case, who's controlling. And this was very, very strange to experience that when that control was gone, I felt that the love was gone. And of course, I realized that was not true, but I felt that the love was not there. It's very odd how we are, isn't it? We're very conditioned. So it's an opportunity for her to see how she's associating, in her relationships, is associating love with a certain way of behaving. We're carrying on our past. And so it's quite a challenge for us to just be present, to just not to carry the past with us, not to perceive through the lenses of our conditioning. It's a direction we need to look into, and life will rub our nose so that it will force us to look into those conditions that we have. Oh, Ananda, okay, so you're right. Also, I am very generous in many ways when courting. If doesn't respond as expected, I get huffy inwardly, and it probably shows. You get huffy inwardly. Yes. Well, when you are generous, usually we are generous. Generosity is not so we can get something back in return. That's it. I would not use the word generosity. I would say this is probably a good strategic move. But in generosity, there is a freedom in generosity. We're not trying to get something in return. So you have to look at that and don't confuse generosity with a way in which you maneuver in your relationships, which will be fine. Maybe that's, but to be clear about it, that this is what you're trying to do. This is your intention, is you're giving so that you get appreciated or, something in return. And just to be clear about that, okay? Apparent generosity. This is a big thing for me. Yes, well, it's nice that you can see it, Ananda. So you can look at it. Yeah, just look at it and look at it without dressing it up. Just like you're looking at this sort of behavior in somebody else. Like you're looking at your brother, your cousin, your friend, rather than just look at it that way and say, interesting. You see? So then it's not personal. You don't have the psychology around it. Yeah. Okay, Ananda. Yes, I hope we can get the sound, repaired. Hello, Raul. Raul, you write hello. So far, I understand that the love itself is object to limitations. Is subject to limitations. No, love. There are no limitations in love. There are no limitations. It's completely open. Because it's universal truth that everything is pointing to me by default. When it's done by objects, we say we suffer from limitations. And when it's done by us, as the non-qualitative consciousness, we say we become happy and free. Yes, first, love has no limitation. It's universal, and love points to itself. It points to itself, to love. It points to our true nature. When we are experiencing love, when we are contemplating love, we're contemplating a quality that is a non-personal quality. The personal tendency is to possess or to negotiate, to place conditions in order to satisfy my feelings. It's a totally different thing from love. Love is not about your feelings. It's an openness. It's more like a letting go. It's more a listening, a relaxing into being. And it's a sensitivity to your inner tendencies to want things your way. It's a sensitivity to the inner blockages that we place onto ourselves and onto others. Yes, love as freedom and happiness. Raoul, you're right. Love as freedom and happiness. Yes, I refer to that. Yes. So happiness is never personal. If you are in a relationship and one person is happy and the other person is not happy, that doesn't work. So when there's something off in the relationship, we are both feeling it, we're both experiencing it. Yes. So happiness is shared. It's more than shared. There are no borders in happiness. There are no barriers in happiness. And same with freedom. There is freedom. Without freedom, there is no happiness. Happiness and freedom go hand in hand. And we complicate things in believing that our happiness is somewhere out there, that it depends on something. As soon as we accept that our happiness depends on something, we're unable to rest into being, because we love happiness. And so we are thinking and trying to figure out of how to get there. And you can never get there, because there is no such thing as getting there. It's just being, and it's right here, right now. So the happiness that we seek, that we love, is right here, right now. But we need to open ourselves to it. We need to make ourselves available to it. And the way we make ourselves available to it is by resting as being. And we cannot rest as being when we are being somebody. Because being somebody means we have to manage, means we have to work at something, at this somebody. We have to polish the image, we have to make sure that it's loved, it's being successful, etc. That is not resting as being. So you cannot rest as being when you're being somebody. You can rest as being when you relax in the hands of God, in the arms of God, when you relax
into being. And let God inspire you to do what needs to be done. But you are resting as being. Raoul, you're right, resting as being is actually resting the concepts to aside. Yes, yes. The main concept, and I don't usually use the term concept, the main belief is the belief that I am somebody that needs improvement, that needs betterment, that something may happen to them. So the main belief is the belief that I am a mortal body-mind. The body-mind is mortal, yes, but that I am this mortal body-mind, that is the main belief. Raoul, I make a distinction between concepts and beliefs. Like, for example, the concept table, the concept moon, the concept galaxy. These are concepts that refer to something, refer to an experience or to an observation, an object, a creative. There can be a creative thinking, and there are a lot of concepts that refer to that. Concepts are innocent. And we need concepts in order to communicate. It will be very difficult for us to communicate without the use of concepts, which are imagery. And somehow we connect together via these concepts in the communication realm. And the medium, the medium that allows these concepts to sort of be communicated is consciousness. So concepts are innocent. The belief is where the ignorance is, where the suffering and the unhappiness is. The belief that belief is based on. It's not based on facts, like believing the earth is flat. It's just a belief. Yeah, it's not based on any fact. So I just make this distinction since you brought this up. Raoul, you're right. I understand something. I think that the knowledge of the self is a deliberate ignorance instead of acquiring something. Okay, the knowledge of the self is not, as you say, acquiring something, because the self is what we are. You don't acquire it, you are it. So the knowledge of the self is a dropping, a dissolving of all your beliefs about the self, all your beliefs about what you are. When you drop your beliefs about what you are, you're making room, you're making space for the self, what you are, to be. There is nothing simpler than being the self, because we are the self. But because of our beliefs about ourselves and about others, we are unable to simply be. Instead, we are obsessed by our thinking and feelings, our thoughts and feelings. Holly, you're right. Hello, Holly. You're right. When I look for the boundaries of my inner awareness, I don't find any. Correct. There are no boundaries of awareness. There isn't even an inner. There isn't even an inner or an outer. However, I'm also not experiencing it as so large, it contains everything. go to your experience right now, Holly. Right now, you're aware of this perception. In other words, this perception is arising in awareness. Awareness is not arising in the perception. The perception, the screen, the couch, the wall, the tree. This perception is arising in awareness. To see that, get a sense of that, get a feel of that. Look at it right now. That this perception is arising in awareness, in you. There is no need to go into it's so large that it contains everything, Holly, because that becomes conceptual. It becomes like, oh, consciousness is so large it contains everything. No, just directly in your experience, right now in your experience. Let's say there is a thought arising right now. The thought arises in awareness. So rather than thinking about consciousness and everything arises in consciousness and I'm not getting that, notice just in the directness of your experience that in fact there is nothing that you experience that does not arise in awareness, in yourself, within you. You're experiencing this perception is arising in you. Yes, you follow? So that's good. Just stay with that. Stay with that direct experience, not thinking so much about it. So your direct experience is where the rubber hits the wheel, the tire hits the road. That's really where the laboratory is. It's not in your thinking, but it's in your direct experience. Now, since we are talking about consciousness and the world, what we perceive, the mind, and I know you didn't ask about that, but I will just take it a step further to say, also notice that the perception that is arising in awareness within you is also at zero distance from the awareness. In other words, the perception and the awareness are at zero distance. You don't go out somewhere for the perception, it's right there. So they're like intimately one. Yes, you follow that? Do you get a sense of that? Okay, good. Now, also notice that even when there is no perception, like when between two perceptions, because there has to be two perceptions, otherwise, there would be one. There has to be some space between the two perceptions. Even between the two perceptions, awareness is, presence is, consciousness is. You are. You don't disappear. You are. So this is why we say consciousness knows forms and also knows itself. It knows itself in the presence of forms, and it knows itself in the absence of forms. I'm taking your question further than you've asked, but I'm just taking this opportunity to just go a little bit further with it. That consciousness, awareness, what I am, is in the presence of forms or in the absence of forms. And forms appearances are at zero distance of myself. They arise out of me, in me, as me. I conceive them, create them, perceive them, and delete them without ever being changed, remaining the changeless self. Okay, Holly, does this answer your question? Okay. So if there is any other question? I'll be right there, Raul. Okay. So Raul, you're right. But it's necessary to stop those objects of thought to perceive the true nature? No, Raul. It's a good question, by the way. The question is it necessary to stop the objects of perception in order to perceive true nature? No, no. God is complete freedom, Raul. Complete freedom. Doesn't need to be in complete vacuum, no thoughts, no perceptions, no sensations, to know itself. Whether thoughts are present or not does not affect consciousness. The ignorance of the self is not due to thoughts. The ignorance of the self is due to the belief that you are Raul, is due to the belief that you are the body, is due to the belief that you are a form. Let me repeat it. The forms arising, like dreams or perceptions or thoughts or sensations, are not a problem. But when we believe, which is a belief, that I, meaning awareness, I, meaning consciousness, am a mortal body-mind, that type of thought, that particular type of thought that reduces you from the infinite self to a mortal body-mind, that particular type of thought you need to contemplate. You need to inquire into that particular type of thought. On what basis can such a thought be true? It's only your belief that it's true that makes it true. But in fact, a thought cannot know your own, cannot say, oh, you are a man, you are a woman, you are tall, you are short. A thought is something you perceive. What you perceive does not know you. When you perceive the oak tree does not know you. The thought is the same way. You perceive the thought does not know you. You see? But yet we believe our thinking. The thought that says, oh, I am this, I am that, I am tall, short, we believe these thoughts as if a thought knew anything about you. So you need to take a close look at that. So Raul, you're right. But is it necessary to stop those objects of thought to perceive true nature? Yes, but why are mutually exclusive? Mutually exclusive. And then you write, okay, understood. It's very intriguing. Yes. Not sure how to answer what you wrote. Why are mutually exclusive? I lost the train of thought of what your questions refer to. But so the main thing to understand is that you don't need to make thoughts your enemy or perceptions or sensations your enemy. Why? Their thoughts can be very useful. Thoughts can be useful to function in the world. They're useful, creative. There is creative thinking. There is thinking about God, thought about truth that lead us to look in the direction of truth. So thought can be a very, very wonderful thing, but it's the ignorance, it's the identification, it's the beliefs that is the issue. Raoul, you're right. I mean, the understanding of the true nature and the appearance of concepts are exclusive. Oh, I see. Okay. No. The understanding of our true nature and concepts are not exclusive. Concepts can arise. They arise out of our creativity. The concept of gravity. It refers to an experience we have, the fact that we don't levitate. So the concepts are not contradiction to consciousness. They do not violate consciousness. Only ignorance that. Okay, I hope this helped a little bit, Raoul. We can, of course, go into it on other occasions too, in other meetings, just to continue to get clearer and clearer about it. Okay? You're welcome. Hello, Ananda. Ananda, you write, what is the underlying significance of thought cannot perceive me? The oak tree doesn't see me. My ears perk up when you say this. Oh, there's the significance in the teaching in Advaita teaching, Ananda, is that
no sound still.
Forms, thoughts, perceptions, sensations refer to consciousness. They depend on consciousness. They infer. You can infer from everything you perceive. You can infer consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But what you perceive does not reveal consciousness. It only infers it. It only alludes to it. We make a serious error when we assume that what we perceive, whether they're thoughts, perceptions, sensations, that they describe the reality of consciousness. So like you could see in your night dream, for example, a pink flying elephant. And you can say, oh, consciousness is a pink flying elephant, or I am a pink flying elephant. Mm-hmm. And you believe that and you feel that you are a pink flying elephant. But that's only from the perspective of believing and feeling that what is appearing in the dream is what you are. Mm-hmm. When you wake up from the dream, you realize that that was just a mind experience. That was just a borrowed. It was an experience yourself as a pink flying elephant. It was a borrowed sense of self, borrowed from the self, from consciousness. But, coming back to, I perceive an oak tree, but the oak tree does not perceive me. I perceive a thought, and the thought says, Magdi, you are too snobbish, whatever. You're too, you speak too much. That thought is referring to something that pertains to the behavior of the body-mind. Because it could be that I speak too much. Meaning this body-mind, has an excited level. There are some people who are very extroverts, and they like to, they're very lively, and others who are more, introvert. But the thought that I am this body, that I am this person, can't stand on its own, because the body-mind is constantly changing. The thought that what I am now as a person, a week later is a different thought. Maybe even that same day, a little later during the day is a different thought. So when you consider that, you have some doubts about it. And also when you consider that all these thoughts, you're perceiving them, and what you perceive, you know. But what you perceive can't know you. It may have some reference or some inference to a certain bodily behavior, a certain function. But the knowingness doesn't belong into what you know.
Right.
The knowingness that comes from what you know is borrowed from your knowingness. In other words, thoughts have in them an inference to consciousness. They do not know consciousness, but they have in them a link to consciousness, because their substance is consciousness.
Yes.
But their content may have a virus in it. The virus being that consciousness is limited and is personal. That virus, the reason why I say it's a virus, because it's a content of thought that does not have in it an experiential backing. It has in it a feeling. It has a feeling in it. But the feeling is a result of the thinking. Thinking that, for example, I am in danger, then I feel I'm in danger. The thought that there is somebody who wants to harm this person,
Yes.
will result in a feeling of being at risk.
Yes.
So the virus of the thought that carries in it the feeling is that this thought has appropriated consciousness and reduced it, limited it, a specific body mind. And because it has limited to a certain body mind, it feels it, and its feeling is its own proof that it is true. So it's a closed loop, it's a closed circle.
Yeah.
You see? But coming back to your question, whatever you perceive, whatever you know, the knowledge is not in what you perceive. The knowledge, the knowingness is within you. You as consciousness, belongs to you as consciousness. This is why it's important not to be led by your feelings. Because your feelings are so intricately connected with your thinking and with all the downloads. There's this whole cultural download that's been reinforcing itself, feeding upon itself. And when you are catering to your feelings, it's an unending. It's an unending endeavor. Ananda, you're right. Consciousness can speak through the body-mind. Yes, the body-mind is an instrument that, for a variety of purposes, yes. The freedom can be expensive. Then
that was
referring to something I said before. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
If
the body-mind is a very wonderful, magical, dream-like instrument. I mean, look at this unfolding right now. This body-mind unfolding right now. It's very lovely. And but the body-mind is not what creates. The body-mind is an appearance, and it appears as thought, sensation, and perception. If Ananda, you're right. If the consciousness says something super clear, then there is an artifact in the world of truth.
Like, for example.
If consciousness says something very clear, then there is an artifact in the world of truth. You know, the world, when we say the world, what are we talking about? Because really, we have to bring everything to our current experience and not to just have some concepts of the world. So when consciousness is super clear, the world, meaning this experience, this is the world, is blessed by the clarity. The clarity shines into our experience, into this shining right now. So
this is wonderful.
When there is confusion and identity and the emotions, then the world, meaning our experience, reflects that. So our waking dream and our understanding And the peace, hopefully the peace within, are not separate.
Mm.
And when, of course, the peace eludes us, then the dream is an unhappy dream. I hope I understood what you were saying, Ananda. It's difficult without sound, but you say the freedom. Okay, you say if the consciousness says something super clear, then there is an artifact in the world of truth. Then it is perceived by the same knowledge which said it, satsang.
It's kind of a different loop.
A truth loop. Yes, truth is self-sustaining. When our experience is intimate with our understanding. So yes, there is a loop between what we experience in the world, our relationship, our thoughts, our experiences, and our inner peace or lack of.
Beautiful.
Ananda, you write, not spreading seeds of confusion, life becomes beautiful. Yes, yes. The seeds of confusion, it's always when you confuse yourself to be something else than the transparency of being. You know, once you know yourself clearly as the infinite invisible, everything flows from that. Your relationships, the wealth and the bounty and the joy, and everything flows from self-knowingness. Everything is taken care of from self-knowingness. There is magic in self-knowingness. And it's the mind becomes completely transparent and completely in tune with consciousness. There is no more competition between me and God. There is no more disturbance in the field. The field is just God's light. This life becomes magical. You're no longer alive like you were before. You could say that I am, but it's a universal being, universal beingness. You could say I am life, I am eternal life, universal light of being. That becomes your living, effortless experience that you can no longer fall out of. It's the return home, like the lost prodigal son who suddenly remembers that he's the son of the king and the queen. That remembrance helps him to return home, and then once he's home, that is the meaning of this existence, the purpose of this existence, the significance of this existence. That is the message from God. It is being spoken. Okay.
Magdi. Hello.
Raoul, you're right. Then it's important to get used with the personal definitions and simply ignore them and the next fruits of their actions. Yes, Raoul, personal, there is a tendency to perceive everything as relating to some person, to what we refer to as me. We refer to me as some person. It's a concept, and it's a belief and a feeling. It's a energetic field that is a tight, contracted field of that is made out of the belief and the feeling that everything that is happening to me, and we feel it. When we wear the purple glasses, we see everything purple. So when we are wearing this belief, when we are accepting this belief that I am a person, then we perceive everything that's happening is personal. So the dream reinforces your belief, and you get deeper and deeper into the sense that things are really personal happening to me. So it's very important to perceive that these beliefs and these feelings are just energetics arising to you as consciousness. So you return to consciousness. You're not trying to get rid of the personal feelings or the personal thoughts, but you're seeing, you're noticing, you're turning attention to the light of being, the light of awareness that perceives all that, and yet it remains formless, it remains transparent, it remains untouched and unmoved. So don't argue too much with the personal, just see it and see that there is a dimension that is vaster than that personal impression, that there is a dimension that is universal, that is boundaryless, that is completely free from the personal impression. Raoul, you're right, yes, me as human, as living thing, as person, as a rule, as mortal, yes. All of these are impressions. They're thoughts and feelings. There is something vaster than the thoughts and the feelings, which is awareness, consciousness. that has no issues with the thoughts and the feelings. The thoughts and the feelings are like clouds in the sky. You have the infinite sky, and the thoughts and the feelings are clouds that have different shapes. It's okay. It's not a problem. The sky does not need to believe that it is a cloud. No matter what shape the cloud is, even the cloud of the shape of an angel, the sky doesn't need to believe it is an angel. Notice the transparency of being. Notice awareness. Awareness noticing itself. Hello, Nilam. You write, Magdi, can you please share the purpose of existence as spoken? The purpose of existence is the revelation of the self. Know thyself. Know thy true self. Awaken from the impression of being a limited self. Awaken from the impression that you are a mind impression, that you are a mind. Awaken from the impression that you are a mortal body mind, a man, a woman, existing in time and space. Your preoccupations about the body-mind are not what the purpose of existence is. Your preoccupations about work, money, family, relationships, the body, and so on are secondary. When you are going to the Pacific Ocean, it's a journey that has one goal, one purpose. There are many ways along the way to get distracted, to distract yourself. You may end up arriving in thousands of lifetimes. Along the way, you will find some guides who will help you, tell you this way. You have to go west. They point to you, and they show you how to read the stars so you can follow the correct direction. You have to have that discernment within you. There are many pitfalls along the way. Pitfalls meaning pit stops along the way. But there is only one significance, one purpose to existence, which is to come to God, to realize your true nature. And this temporary life, this temporary human existence, has a time clock to it. You already have lived so many years. You went through being a baby, being 5, 6, 7-year-old, 10, 12, 15, 20. Your mom, your dad, get married, get this and that. You already have lived all these. These were just fodder for coming to the question of what am I truly? The earlier you come to the question, what am I truly, and the earliest you apply yourself to it fully, then the better usage you have of this lifetime, this temporary lifetime. And awakening to the self is available to us 24/7. It requires our recognition and our participation. Not putting it on the back burner. Not delaying, not saying, well, maybe after I raise a family and after I retire and after I buy a vacation home, etc. After I find the perfect mate, after I have a really happy marriage, etc. No. If you put it on the back burner, you're putting yourself on the back burner. And you will spin through the wheel of samsara. God has infinite patience, infinite. But in the same time, God is infinite love. Never ceases to calling you to her. Come to me. Come to your true self. There are so many ways of getting distracted. Of getting into some mind states, getting to some belief, other spiritual beliefs. Wow. A lot of them. There are partial understandings that are mistaken to be the ultimate understanding. Get a lot of support, a lot of big audience. Sad. But that's the play. There is no rush in God's garden. But once you get the message and you put God's invitation in the drawer of your desk, say, I'll come to you later. It's your freedom. But you will find yourself complaining about life over and over. Why is this happening to me? And we think that God is punishing us. We don't realize that the offer that God sent to us Raoul, you're right. The inner journey, it resembles with walking on the edge of the blade. Yes. If so, what is giving that continuity? Love for truth gives this continuity. We walking on the edge of the blade. It is consciousness that gives this continuity. Not one step to the right, not one step to the left. Not wavering from pure being. The continuity is love, God's love, and your love for God, which is the same. The discrimination moment by moment until the ultimate goal. Yes. It is a journey of love, Raoul. Not love for objects, not love for forms, not personal love, but love for God, love for truth. Isn't that beautiful? That it's a journey of love? Because we love love, so it's really wonderful. Just honor your love for truth. Live your love for truth. Remain true to your love for truth. That is God's light shining as love. God's love. God's light shining as love for truth. Okay, well, thank you all for your lovely company, and very happy to be with you as usual. Okay, Isaac, see you, Isaac. Nice to see you here. Nice to see you all.